I just realized, well, I can't chicken out now. I sat there and I was like, well, last in, first out is normally the rule. In those 2 days, I tell you, I've never prayed so hard in my life. We were shocked. We didn't see that one coming. I said, I'm fine. I said, what now? And she said, are you sure you're okay? The best doctors ever, the best surgeons ever. It will be the biggest relationship tester of your life.
Welcome to the Immigrant story. Thank you very much, Alta for giving us the opportunity to hear your story. Also a very interesting story, and appreciate that you giving up your time after hours to enlighten us and give us a little bit of your journey. So can you give us just tell us about your journey and when it started?
Our journey started in 2018 when out the blue, Abby said, what's your thoughts on immigrating? I said to him, what? And he said, have you ever thought about it? And I said, no, not really, but I'm always keen for an adventure. And I said to him, to where? And we looked first at Australia, then realized Australia won't be an option for us due to my husband's age. And I said to him, well, if it's not Australia, where then? Because then he planted the seed. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And he said, what about New Zealand? Because there's always been a book on our bookshelf about New Zealand. And I said, well, let's look at the pictures. And a lot of people ask us, why New Zealand? Why did you come to New Zealand? Did you holiday here before? And we were like, no. And they said, why? And we said, well, the pictures look nice. So that's the reason why we decided on New Zealand. And it was actually quite weird how things just fell into place once we started thinking about it, because as every South African know, on Sundays there's the carte blanche program that they show on the Sundays. So you can either go into depression mode, and then on DSTV they started this program called Coastal New Zealand, I think it was called. It's a Scottish guy that travels New Zealand and he shows off all the areas in New Zealand. So we always joked and we said, well, we can either go depro mode and watch carte blanche, or we can watch something uplifting like Coastal New Zealand. And that program actually made up our mind to give New Zealand a go.
Wow.
And so we watched it for a full year, and basically that made up our mind. We didn't even look anywhere else. We were like, that's the place. Okay, so then I to get some info about immigration, I joined a Facebook page. Can't remember what it was called, but it's something to do with immigration. And a lot of people are asking questions, and you see what other people go through and what they need to know. And through that, I met a guy that was in the same trade as me, and he was looking to go to New Zealand. So we had a bit of a chat, and he was telling me what he was doing, and he's trying to get to New Zealand with his partner and his child. And we basically had a chat, and then we left it there. I can't remember why. It was just we basically, because my husband had a business, and we realized the things that we had to give up and change to do that. And we just thought, no, it's too much effort. And I think the unsurety. So I said, you know what, just leave it. And we were also uncertain about his age, being able to get a visa. And then a year went by. So in 2019, around August, it was August, we met up with friends for coffee, and we said, what are you guys up to? And they said, no, they're going to New Zealand next month. And we were like, okay. And that old dream show sort of woken up again. And we said, okay, that's where we want to go. And they said, oh, you've never talked about that. We said, yeah, it's like a pipe dream, but we actually really wanted to go, but we don't know if it's possible. And they said, no, we're going next month. So I said to this lady, I said to her, when you go there, bring me a stone from New Zealand. Just bring me a pebble. So not big, just a little pebble that you pick up on the beach. And so that Sunday she said, oh no, it's cool, it's fine. And then that Sunday we went home, because I still clearly remember it was on a Sunday. And we got home and my phone beeped, and it was this guy. And I said, how's that? We were just talking about New Zealand. And I get a message from this same guy that I met on the Facebook group. And he was like, so how far is your journey? And I said, nah, I've given up. I said, we're not going to go. I said, well, what about you? And he said, no, I'm getting on a plane next week. And I was like, really? Really? Yeah, you're going. Our friends are going. And we stuck. And so I said to my husband, this is a sign. And I said to him, well, what did you do? And then he actually gave me your details. And then I said, okay, cool. And that's how I got hold of you, and that's how our journey started. And since that day, since that Sunday, I think it was the 8th of August, if I remember correctly, things just started happening, and it just didn't stop. It just was so cool.
And how did you so in the beginning you were a bit worried about all the uncertainty, but also, you know, the changes and the things that you may or may not have. For example, your husband's business, etc. How did that sort of become less of a worry then when you realized that your goal was that you actually did want to move?
Yes. Once we've made the decision, I said to him, because we sat one night, and I said, if we decide to do this, we're going to go for it. It's not going to be halfway. It's not going to be, okay, maybe, maybe not. The day we decide it's a yes, we're going to do it. No questions asked. And we both just said, okay, we're going to do this. And things just started happening. We've just started selling stuff. We had a lot of motorbikes. He had his business. We had cars. And we said, well, they are just things. So we can always get other things. But this is important to do. And so we had to sell his business. We didn't have a house, so that was fine. We rented, so that's cool. But it was quite an emotional journey, getting rid of some of our things, like the bed and the stove and the fridge, not those things, the things like our motorbikes, because they like our children. Have cried many tears. Our custom car, we had a custom car, a ute, and we had to old Bev. We had to get rid of her, and I remember the day they drove her away. It was we were both in tears. It was like and every single motorbike, because we then had to make a decision, because we said we're not going to sell everything. We want to bring some with. Then it felt like we were getting rid of our children, because we had to decide which ones we're going to keep, which ones we're going to take with. And Hubby, being a motorcycle enthusiast and absolute expert, he said, well, we're going to look at the ones that's going to gain value over the years. So we got rid of the ones that wasn't valuable, and we brought over the ones that gained value over the years. And that's how we basically made the decision. But the moment we had a clear decision, things got easier, because we just had that clear goal, and that was it. And I also said to him, thinking back about the Facebook page, the moment we decided to go, I said to him, no more Facebook page, because I felt it clouded our journey, because you looked at so many people, how they would do things. And I said to him, at the end of the day, it's our journey. Forget about the rest of the people, because everybody's journey is different. Because it sort of creates doubt, because somebody will ask a question and you're like, oh, maybe I must do it that way. Or, sure, we're not doing it the right way. And eventually I said to him, just stop. We're going to trust our journey we are taking, and we stopped all the Facebook pages, everything. And we just followed what our gut said and what we wanted to achieve. And that seemed to work for us. Yep.
Yes. No, exactly. And that's the whole thing, is if you have a clear goal, and you know it works for you, because each person is individual, each family is individual, each couple is individual, and you know yourself better than anybody else. So what works for you doesn't necessarily work for the next person. That's why these immigrant stories are so interesting, because there's so many different ways that people can go about it, and things that work out for one family or couple and don't for the other.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's really good. And then you managed to get a job, or did you go and look? Did you apply for roles? How did you get a job offer from offshore?
Basically, what I did was I approached Uncle Google, and I just said, okay, what am I going to look for? And with having 16 years experience in my trade, I said, okay, let's let's keep that trade and let's just let it work for us. And I just Googled and I just said, okay, because I'm in the aluminium industry. And I just Googled and I looked up all the companies looking for an accredited employer. And the company that I'm still working for, they came up. And I just looked at what they offer, their values, and immediately it just attracted my attention. And I said, this is the place I want to work for. And I was lucky to basically, it took about a week or two to get hold of somebody, get an interview, and I got a job, and they were willing to wait. That was the most fantastic thing, because there's so much uncertainty because you're so far away. Will they wait? Because you start doubting yourself and your own value. And I said, what will be, will be. I just have to trust the journey. And yep. And they said to me, we had the interview in September, and they said they're willing to wait till the following year when we can come over. And yeah, we were lucky to get there before COVID hit. We were literally, if we look back, we were literally one of the last, I would say, 10 flights that were coming into New Zealand before COVID hit. And actually, the one flight that we didn't take, the route that we didn't take, they actually picked up COVID on that flight. And I said, how's that? We missed that just. And yeah, so it was just amazing. But one thing that also stood out for us was my husband, while we're still in South Africa, he met a Kiwi through motorbikes. This guy came over to South Africa to buy a bike in our town. Wow. And we got to know them, not friends, but we got to know them. And with the last time we met while still in South Africa, we made a joke and we said to them, well, we either see you in 2 years' time when you come back to South Africa, because this lady always visits her mom every second year, or we'll see you in New Zealand. When we got the visas and we got the flights and everything, and Gavin, my husband, said, like, well, where do we go? And I said, I don't know. We take a bus. We don't know. We're just going to wing it. And I've got hold of these people just to say, well, we're beating you. We will see you in New Zealand first before you come to South Africa. And this couple, because they live in Auckland, and they said, well, when are you coming over? And it was like literally, I think I let them know on the Sunday, and we were flying the Wednesday. And they were a pure godsend, because they said, we'll pick you up. I mean, we didn't really know them. We weren't house friends or anything. We just sold them a motorbike years ago. And they were just said, we'll pick you up. And they helped us. They brought us over to Tauranga because they had friends here. And they just helped us. It was just amazing just to get that little bit of help entering the country, because you are so nervous at that time because you don't know anything. When with us not being here before, we don't know how it works, or how does the bus work, how does the card work, how does the bank work, and we will always be grateful for those people helping us. So it's always nice to, if you hear stories of people that didn't know anybody, and I take my hat off to them, because I know the stress that you are under when you land here that day, and the uncertainty, because you can't familiarize with anything, because nothing is the same. You can't go, oh, this is the OR Tambo, and you know how to drive out this road. You don't know anything. That's,
and you're tired. And you're tired because it's
and you are very tired. When we said to these people, we're gonna just take the bus, and this woman is like, what? You're crazy. You're gonna be too exhausted. You're not gonna even find the bus. Never mind, take the bus. So that helped us a lot. So to have those people helping us through those first days in a new country, that was just amazing. That just settled the nerves, and we could actually enjoy the country for those first few days, and it wasn't a rush to get anywhere or sort anything out, because they literally opened their house to us. So that was awesome.
Wow. Peace of mind. Yes. That's brilliant. That's really good.
And you need that.
Yes.
You really do.
And so you basically arrived just before the lockdown. So you started work before they closed everything down. You were at work for a while, and then.
Yep, I was literally at work for 3 weeks. I still walked in. I remember just the first week, maybe a week and a half. It was just nerve-wracking, because when I walked into that job, I didn't know anybody. Yes, there were a lot of, actually, in a lucky sense, there were a lot of South Africans working there. So that also helped. But just the trade, because I thought, okay, you've got 16 years in the trade, you're just going to walk in here and ace it. And I
Yes.
walked in and nothing was the same. And I remember going home at night saying to my husband, I'm going to die. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So it was nerve-wracking because you think you cheese when you land here with all the experience, and then you realize you're not. And the pressure, because we were on my visa, and I just realized, well, I can't chicken out now. I'm not going to do that to us. So then COVID hit, which was even more stressful because what's that? Nobody knows what that was.
Yes.
And you're now in a new country and it's lockdown, and you don't know what to do. We still had to find accommodation. So we were in an Airbnb when we landed here, and we said we'll find accommodation as we go. We found accommodation the night before lockdown. We found a house. And I remember that they made all these announcements that it's going to be lockdown. And I remember my husband still rushing to the shop to get the TV because we had nothing. I said, oh, I'm not going through this lockdown with no TV. Talking to you. And so, yeah, we found a TV. And so we had a TV. That's all we had through lockdown.
Yeah,
and
you couldn't ride bikes in any
it helped.
case. So,
It
yeah.
helped. And we found a, yeah, nothing was here yet because we were only here for 3 weeks when lockdown hit. So our container that we had only arrived in June, and I mean lockdown was in what, February, March. Yeah. So so then lockdown hit, and those first 2 days I was just like, what the hell? Because then I realized now we're going to be in lockdown for what, 6 to 8 weeks, and all the training I had, which was very overwhelming, I'm just going to forget all that.
No.
So the first week was like, oh my gosh, what now? Because then I went into a different anxiety of how am I going to remember all these things? Because I put so much pressure on myself. And then for about 2 weeks, it was very stressful trying to cope with that. And
Yes.
then eventually I said to myself, now you need to snap out. The situation is what it is. And I just decided, you know what? When you go back, you'll be okay. And you'll learn all the new things. It's not the end of the world. You're not alone in lockdown. The whole world is in lockdown. And you're not the only one going through it. And just get your mind right, because I would say that's a very important part of this whole journey, is to have the right mindset. Because the moment you're going to go into a depression or in a dark mindset, it will take over. So yeah, so lockdown was it was actually good because it gave us time to explore. Not meaning driving around, but we could explore our neighborhood and we get to know the area and the shops, and we got to know it in a calm environment because there was no rush.
Yes.
You had all the time in the world to figure it out.
Yes.
So lockdown actually served a good purpose for us. And then when the job started again, which was another stressful moment, there were some retrenchments because of lockdown. Obviously, a lot of business took a knock, and they had to let people go. And I sat there and I was like, well, last in, first out is normally the rule.
Yes.
And I remember those the longest 2 days of my life because it took them 2 days to make a decision. And in those 2 days, I tell you, I've never prayed so hard in my life because I just said to my husband, I'm not going back. And yes, the 2 days came and went. And then they said, no, I'm staying. I said, well, okay, if that's not a sign to make this work, then nothing is. And I stayed, and I made a success of it.
Yeah, so and you've been promoted in the meantime as well. So congratulations.
Yeah, I
went brilliant.
A couple of promotions. So yes, from what was it, production coordinator now to operations manager of the whole plant. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Brilliant. Yeah. I think it's I think it works both ways as well, that they're very grateful because you obviously are hardworking and you've proven yourself as well. So from starting off and really being very stressed about everything being new and different, because that's exactly right. It's you can't think that it's the same environment, because it's very different, and the culture is very different in any new country that you move to, whether you move to New Zealand or whether you move to Europe or whether you move to Australia, whether you move anywhere, from anywhere, the culture will always be different, even if your language is the same. The similarities, there may be similarities, but it's very different as well. So you've obviously made a success of it, and that's fantastic. I mean, that's part of why I wanted to chat to you, because you've had some real trial and tribulations, and you've made a success of those as well. If I may bring up as well, you also had some medical issues sort of a few years ago while you were still on work visa as well.
That was actually in the first year, because we arrived in February, and the same year in October, I got diagnosed with stage 1 cancer, and it was just out the blue, and we were shocked. We didn't see that one coming, and I don't think anybody does. And again, I said to my husband, "And now, what now?" And I was actually quite calm. I don't know why. I think I just trusted the journey, and so went to a doctor. They diagnosed me with cancer. It's weird to describe it, because I just had a feeling. I just had a feeling something was off. And so the day the call came and they said, "No, I need to come in and see them," I knew something wasn't right. And at that stage, it was still the COVID rules at the doctor, so I couldn't take my husband in with me. I had to go in alone because of the isolation rules and everything that you had to have at the doctor's. And I remember sitting there, and the doctor, funnily enough, South African lady. I was like, "That's strange, but okay." But it gave a sense of comfort, because it was something that I was familiar with, a lady from Durban. And she sat me down and she said, "No, I'm sorry to say, but it's cancer." And I remember I sat there and I was just like, "Okay." And she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm fine." I said, "What now?" And she said, "Are you sure you're okay?" I said, "I'm fine." And I said, "So what now?" Because you don't know what now. You don't know how the doctors work. You don't know how the hospitals work. I mean, again, it's something new. And she said, "Oh, what we do now is we'll send it away, and then we'll refer you to somebody, and they'll get hold of you." And it was not all the information went in on that day. I just remember sitting there going, "Yeah, yes, okay." And then I remember when I walked out, and obviously my husband wasn't with me. And then when I walked out and I saw his face, that's when the tears came. It was just like, oh, that's when it hit. And we just both sat there, and he was like, "And now?" Because when he saw my face, he knew something was off. And I still remember how we got in the car and we didn't say anything. And then we still, being new here, we still went to, I'll never forget it, we went to Burger King. We got ourselves each a burger and we drove to a place with a nice view. And we just sat there and ate our burger in silence. And after our burger was finished, we said, "Okay, this is the next thing to do. We're going to deal with this." And we just dealt with it. And I cannot complain about the medical service I received. Everything went smooth. The best doctors ever, the best surgeons ever. And so, yeah, I got diagnosed in October. And then in January the following year, I started my radiation treatment. Still kept working through it all. And because now you're scared that, what if you lose your job through it? Because I had to take every day, I had to take time off work to basically for an hour and a half go to the hospital and get treatment. And then still come back and carry on working, even though you're deathly tired. But I didn't want to let anybody know that, because in case they say, "Well, you're not good enough for the job," because I was so dependent on having this job for our visa and having us here. And got through that. And then I got to clear 6 months later. And it's awesome. It's been such an amazing journey. So yeah, for that, we're very grateful. We basically say moving to New Zealand saved my life, because I don't know if I would have gotten the same treatment in South Africa.
Yes, yes. That's brilliant. And again, I think the positivity, speaks for itself, both you and Gavin, being so positive about it. And it's a difficult enough, journey to move to the other side of the world or to a place that you don't know anybody, but to also face all these, adversities or challenges, not only in a new job, but then in a very short space of time, again, medically as well. So I'm pretty sure you're a different person to what you were 5 years ago.
For both of us, it was just that if oh yes, very much so, and for my husband as well, because he was uncertain, having his own business for 26 years. He had to come over and think, okay, now I'm going to work for a boss again.
Yes.
And so yeah, he went through his own doubts and his own fears, and we actually grew so much closer through this, because they say, a lot of people say, it will either make or break you. It will be the biggest relationship tester of your life, and if there are any weak points or any uncertainties, it will certainly bring it up to the surface when you go through this. And we've managed to just stick together. Yes, it's not always sunshine and roses, but I think to just be there for that person and to listen and to not judge in that moment, and to understand that everybody goes through his own fears, and to talk through it. Because yes, you are husband and wife, but you experience things differently. Where I'm very happy-go-lucky, where my husband's more the serious one, and I had to not be so happy-go-lucky, just to understand what he's going through. But my happy-go-luckiness just brought a bit of light to the subject, and it was a nice balance. But you learn to be a good listener, and to just understand your partner.
Yes.
And to let them experience what they're experiencing, because they don't see it the same way that you do.
Yes.
And you each have got and I think a big thing is to talk about it, because sometimes you find that you both are worrying about the same thing, but you're not communicating it, and that just puts strain on the relationship. So I think it's a good thing, and that's where COVID helped us as well, because we had to talk about things, and because we had nothing here, I mean, we bought a little. I remember we bought a little pack of cards, and every afternoon we sat around the table or on the carpet and we played cards, and you just had to talk. You had to talk things through, and that was good. So COVID was not a bad thing for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. And happy to say, if you're okay, I'm going to share a photo of you and Gavin. Are you happy for me to do that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Great. I think it's one that I really love. So that's where you're at the moment, right? So you growing your collection again.
Yeah.
So the things that you've had to sell back in South Africa, you're able to collect again and get back and grow again. So I think that miss that you had of those toys, if you like, or your collection that you had at that time, you're getting back on your feet, right? It does take a while to get back on your feet where you were previously, but do you feel a person can actually surpass that, or do you think you can ever catch up to where you were?
You can catch up to where you were, and even better. I mean, we way better off here in New Zealand than what we were in South Africa. It's just that life work balance. Right now for me, it's not good, because I'm very busy at work. But that's my own journey, and that's something I need to figure out. But there's more life work balance here in New Zealand. It's not just all about work. There is money, and there is time to have fun and explore, and there's so many things to explore and do.
Yes.
And what for us stands out is the safety in which you can do it. Because many a times we will go on a hike, and we will still, till this day, I mean, it's 5 years down the line, we will still say, where in South Africa could you be able to walk here alone? Never. It is just that sense of, well, now you can in the middle of the bush, and there's nobody there, and you don't have to look over your shoulder. And you can walk, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to watch yourself. You don't have to. The one day, it was so funny. We were walking, and there was this noise in the bush, And both of us got such a fright, and we're like, well, what could it be? Because there's nothing here that can eat you. And but that South African just kicks you, right? Because you just go into defend mode. I don't think it's something that you will ever lose. The other night we still got a fright with the cat outside our door where the security light came on, and we're like, who's that? But it for us the safety, yeah. And
So who was in the bush?
we always say, hey, it was just a bird.
Oh.
A little bird. So yeah, it is just we'll never lose that sense of gratefulness, because there's so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And we never want to lose that, because it's so cool to live here. It's so cool.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And so I know you mentioned a bit earlier, but just imparting any advice that you could give to people that are either in the process of moving here, or maybe they've just newly moved over, not necessarily here anyway. If they've immigrated or they're thinking about immigration. I know you did mention earlier about, your mindset, but also not comparing, I think is what you mentioned earlier to me. What is the advice that you can give to people?
I would say mindset, definitely number one. Trust yourself. So once you've made that decision, trust yourself, because it's your journey that you're going on, nobody else. So yeah, you can listen to advice because there's other people and you want to help people, but at the end of the day, you need to decide what works for you, because what works for you doesn't work for anybody else. You can take some advice, but it's not necessarily your journey. And then the other thing is don't compare, because by doing the comparison, you're just robbing the country for what it is. Because if you're comparing it to South Africa or to wherever, then why aren't you there? Then go back there. So why do the comparison? Because take it for what it is. Because you're going to lose opportunities and you're going to miss opportunities if you do that. Because you keep comparing it and you say, but if it wasn't like that, or why is it not like that? Don't do that, because that sort of kills the fun of it, and you're not seeing what's in front of you for what it really is. Your vision gets blurred when you do that. So take it for what it is.
I think that's very wise words, Alta. Definitely, you've done a lot of personal development over the last 5 years, and you've obviously learned a hell of a lot. And I really, really appreciate you giving us the time and being prepared to share your story as well, because I think it's one that has got a number of struggles, and you've always been very positive through them. It's been an absolute pleasure to get you to this point as well, and I'm really. That's one thing that I'm always proud of, is to help people that I feel are really an asset to New Zealand. So I can sincerely say I know that you and Gavin are massive assets to New Zealand. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.